you have been in touch with a number of these families whose loved ones remain in Gaza. What are they telling you at this point about how they're doing and their hope for some sort of resolution?
Very difficult to ask any of these families how they're doing because they're in a state of constant agony and torture. You know, anybody who has children know that you suffer with your children, whatever's going through, whatever they're going through, you suffer it. And these parents have to live knowing that the children are in some tunnel, suffering. God knows what type of abuse they're getting. This morning, a small movie of 18 and 19-year-old girls was released. It was a movie from the 7th, 8th of October, but it only came to light this morning. Some of them were beaten in the face and they were bloody. And I can't even begin to imagine what those parents are going through. And so it's very difficult, and the families are right. The longer we wait, the less chance there is of getting them back home alive. At the same time, Hamas is, really, really good at playing psychological warfare. And so they release these videos and they pretend that they want a deal. But in fact, our hostages have now become the human shields of the very selfish, brutal, genocidal leadership that started this to begin with.
Does the Israeli government and the prime minister still have the support of most in Israel as these families scream from the rooftops that they want their loved ones home? What is support for the current military effort?
Well, I think these families have done a really fantastic job in making the return of the hostages the top priority of the war. It didn't start off that way. And in fact, at the beginning, there was talk whether the actual dismantling of Hamas and that operation would be in contrast and in contradiction to returning the hostages home. And nobody talks like that anymore. The top priority of this war is to return the hostages. And that's what the prime minister is promising the families. And that's what the military is saying as their main stated goal. So we hope that they remain true to the promises and the pledges that they're making to the people of Israel, because the people in Israel, for them, everybody sees those hostages as their family members. And so for the whole of Israel, that is the top priority.
And further complicating the efforts to bring them home now is the situation to the north and the threat from Hezbollah. What are you hearing from that region, and where have many of those people from the north evacuated to?
So there's almost 100,000 evacuees from the north. Many of them actually are in my city right here in Jerusalem, in hotels that the tourism ministry and the defense ministry and the city of Jerusalem also partake in housing them. But many of these families with kids have been in hotel rooms now for a month, for 2 months. They're going crazy. It's a very difficult thing to do. And the worst thing about the evacuees from the north is that they don't know, they have no clue when they're going to go back to their homes. And that is really the most frustrating thing, that we don't know. Are we going to war with Hezbollah? Are they going to start something? Are they going to make life so intolerable and they're going to send so many missiles over that we will have to be forced into a war the way that we were with Gaza? These questions are still up in the air, and that is what makes people in the whole country very frustrated. At the moment, there's very few answers.
Yeah, a daunting thought with essentially two wars that you could potentially be waging. Do you have the necessary resources to support and help these people who have sought refuge in Jerusalem?
So there are, because we have no tourists at the moment. Of course, we're in the middle of a war. Jerusalem is, as you know, a very touristy city. And so the government has made deals with many of the hotels, and many of the hotel owners have come forward to offer their hotels. And so there's the majority of the evacuees are in hotels. Myself, I've run a program to try and house them in empty apartments. There's a lot of empty holiday apartments here in Jerusalem. So we've also run a program like that. But it's just awful to leave your home, not knowing when you're going back, not knowing when your children are going back to their schools. The city of Jerusalem has opened up our school system to these children, but of course you can imagine it's not the same.
No, I mean, life just essentially halts and there's no end in sight. As always, I appreciate you being generous with your time. Deputy Mayor Fleur Hassan-Nahoum from Jerusalem, thank you. We'll see you soon. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.